Hi everyone, this is Constellations here. So today in this video, I will bring you guys a Thoma Math Guide 2 focusing on his shield support and Pyro Enabler capability as well as an additional role that I'll talk about later. In the first Thoma Math Guide 1, we did a focus on his Sub DPS capability comparing him to Xingqiu. For today's video, we'll just focus on support. Okay. We're still using stuff of Thoma. I will do up the math for other weapons when it comes to the weapon comparison video. Artifact main stack combinations are also the same here because I pretty much covered a rather wide range per se. I'm not including attack, pyro, and CR because we are doing a support build. You should not be using attack sense. Okay. So same thing, artifact, we have a allowance of 5 artifact upgrades that can go wrong. The artifact that I'm using here is 2-piece TOTM with 2-piece emblem. Sounds a bit unconventional, but if you saw my first math guide video, I already mentioned how important ER is for Thoma. And as a support build, I would rather get emblem than say a Crimson Witch. But it's still viable, by the way, Crimson Witch. It is still workable. It's just that his damage on the whole is not going to be very significant in the big picture in terms of your whole team DPS. Okay, so these are the figures, level 6, pause it if you want to, but I will go through the figures in the artifact main stats session. Okay, level 9, and level 12. Okay, so before we start, I am doing math for 2-piece TOM and 2-piece emblem first because I'm interested in this artifact build. It does not necessarily mean that this artifact build is the best. 4-piece emblem, 2-piece TOTM together with 2-piece Noblies, or 2-piece TOTM together with 2-piece Crimson Witch are all viable for support as well. And I'll do the math video for artifact comparison in future. It will probably be out next week, or even this weekend, depending on whether I can squeeze out the time. I just want to add one thing, which is, I don't call one thing, is that 4-piece TOTM is not viable, as its elemental skill cooldown is 12 seconds at C1 and 15 at C0. So it's too long for TOTM. Sorry, too long for the 4-piece TOTM effect. It only hits once. The element skill only hits once. Whatever else procs that you get, the stacking of the shield, that's from your burst, not from your elemental skill. So your 4-piece TOTM effect is not maintained. So yeah, 4-piece TOTM is not viable. Don't over-invest on 4-piece TOTM now. So that's the point number 1. Constellations, I'm not going to go through the individual points. If you want to go through if you want to know my thoughts on the individual constellations, you can check out the Thoma Math Guide 1 video. But what I'll do here is I've actually added a bit more points, a few more points here, and you'll see here. So basically, it's sort of like a TLDR on the constellations. It also applies to the Sub DPS build actually. So get C2 if you want perma uptime on his burst and shield stacking, and if you are willing to invest in more ER. Get C4 if you want to avoid having to get more ER on artifact subsets, because C4 gives you energy. Get C6 if you want to add one more support ability to him. But honestly, I think his constellations are not that great, since what it does is 100% uptime, which you can mitigate by dodging during the downtime. I mean, you can think of it that way. Of course, you can also think of it as you want to have shield all the time, then yes, by all means, please go ahead and get his constellations, especially if you like the character. Okay, that's what I always say. Although I do the math for, I guess you can say for the meta, but I always advocate play the characters that you like. Okay? For F2P players, right, you can actually skip his constellations if you want to, and just go full F2P with a Black Taser. Black Taser being the 3-star weapon with HP percentage subset. It's definitely doable, and I'll do math for this when it comes to the weapon comparison. Okay. Now in terms of ER requirement, this is all the same as the previous math guide 1 video. So if you've already seen that, then there's no need for me to go through this. But I'll just do a very quick statement to say that most likely you need 200% ER without C4. With the C4 and Raiden, if 150 is enough. Without Raiden, maybe 170 is required. But it really depends because we have not had the chance to test out To characters elemental skill, we don't know how many particles this elemental skill can generate. Okay. Let's talk about artifact min stats. Okay, so for the HP Pyro CR, since I already have a HP percentage focus versus CR CD focus from the previous first Math Guide 1 video, that continues on in this video. But for the rest of the artifact main stats, it will be HP percentage focus with a minimum crit damage of 145, since Thoma plus 1 base crit damage roll per artifact adds up to approximately 145. Okay. What this also means is that when we compare other weapons may have a higher HP percentage focus and thus may have better shield results. It depends. We will see how it goes. Okay. Not to worry, I will try to make it as fair of a comparison, as objective a comparison as possible. So we will still have the 200 ER, 150 ER HP, Pyro HP, and we have HP. But what I want to do here is, rather than focusing on ER this time, I want to focus on the main stat. And you'll notice that I've actually reduced the CR/CD to 44 CR for 145 CD target. 145 is because since we have a minimum CD of 145 with Thoma, we might as well make good use of it with a 44 CR. Literally the bare minimum in terms of rolls. What do I mean by that? If you see here, 44 CR it's not high. If you want to go for higher CR, by all means, please do so. It's just that you have to sacrifice your HP percentage. Like if you see here, this is okay. Let me just freeze the view as well. How about on that? So, if you go HP Pyro CR, you're gonna be going full HP percentage in terms of upgrades. You're gonna try to search for full HP percent upgrades, which is not easy, by the way. I mean, yes, getting HP percentage upgrades are easier than CR/CD, but wanting to get all HP percentage upgrade is not easy in terms of artifact RNG. But anywho, so this is the kind of target that we're looking at: 44 CR, 145 CD, 36.4k HP. Significantly higher than the other permutations, even if 150 ER. Okay. And as for the, I'm going to focus on the 150% ER here, because if you saw my Math Guide 1 video, I already talked about 150% ER should be good enough, provided, you know, C4, Raiden, etc. Okay, we just take 150% first. So if we go HP Pyro HP, this is also 44, 145. HP is at 37k. So obviously the shield will be better. The higher your HP, the better his shields. And for HP, obviously we have the highest HP, 41k at R5. And I should probably talk about R1 as well. So R1 is 34k versus 35k versus 39k. Okay, this is the type of HP that we are looking at. What this means is that when we look at the elemental skill, let's look at elemental level level 12. Why am I looking at level 12? Because in my shielder comparison video, I will be comparing at level 12. Okay. So let's see. Shield absorption, we have 6.7k at Thoma R1. This is again the 150 ER with HP Pyro, CR, CD, or CD interchangeable. And you have 6.8k for HP Pyro HP. HP Pyro HP. And then for full HP, triple HP, you have 7.4k. This is his upfront shield absorption level, not the max shield absorption level. Because the max shield absorption level on paper it looks really good, but it's not that practical, and I will share more in the shielder comparison video. I've already done the math for it. I've done the analysis for it. I just don't have the time to do the video recording yet. Okay, so this is the shield absorption that we are looking at level 12. Level 12 elemental skill, which means that you need C3. With C3, it's still a shield absorption upfront levels, how should I put it? It's expected of a 4-star character, let me put it that way. And in terms of the burst damage, what we are looking at here is we have 4.2k, 4.2k as well, and 3k. So like I said, every time, if you go for triple HP, you're gonna have to sacrifice your damage. There's no doubt about that. And in terms of the shield, each stack you get 1069, 1085, and 1184. Okay. So going back to the artifact main stats as a how should I put it? As a summary, basically HP Pyrocia has a slightly weaker shield than HP Pyro HP, but artifact upgrades are easier since it's full HP. But because you're also looking only for one stat, it might actually be harder. But yeah, depends on how you see it. Now, HP Pyro HP has better damage and shield than HP Pyrocia. It's a bit ironic, right, that the HP Pyro HP has even better damage than HP Pyrocia. But it's mainly because of Thoma. And because we are doing the same CR CD target. Triple HP obviously has a best shield, but you sacrifice substantial damage. If you saw, it's 4.2k versus 3k. Now, the 1.2k damage difference is not that big in terms of the overall team DPS, but if you look at Thoma's damage itself, then yes, it's a bit difference because it's 1.2 over 3k. More than 33% difference. So my personal recommendation is actually to go for HP Pyro HP for support Thoma, especially with Thoma. My reason for stating Thoma is because HP Pyro HP may do lesser damage than HP Pyro CR without Thoma, but HP Pyro HP will still offer better shield than HP Pyro CR without Thoma. Okay, so to me it's more of a hybrid build with a bit of damage, or rather you don't fully sacrifice your damage, but at the same time you have a healthy focus on your HP percentage. Just to share, my Zhongli is also using something similar. My Zhongli is doing HP 0 HP. Even though he's a sub DPS. Because I have Thoma. Yeah, because I have Thoma. Okay. So, one more note is, if you're going triple HP, when using other weapons without CRCD, you can also forgo CRCD completely and just get yourself additional 35% HP. Why 35%? Because that's the amount of average amount of HP percentage you can get by foregoing the CRCD rolls on your artifact. Okay, for 35% HP to forgo CRCD completely, not that great. That's the other reason why I say go for HP Pyro HP. Okay, and if you want, we can also compare against the Sub DPS build. I do believe should be the same, but let's just see. So at level 12 bursts, the fire collapse is 4.2, 4205, 4239, and 3040, yeah? Okay, now let's look at the sub DPS figures. Yeah, sub DPS figures, because we focus on CRCD instead of HP percentage, so the damage will be higher, but it's not significantly, okay, it's quite substantial. Because after all, we are taking whatever roles that we have on HP percentage to go to CR and CD. Yeah. But overall picture, that damage is not that significant. Especially if you factor in your whole team DPS. So what does that mean? That actually means that I do recommend having a higher focus on support when you build your Thoma. Yep. That's what I'm trying to drive at. Now, with that being said, right, we have finished the artifact main stats. We have talked about what is the main stat to go for. Now we have the Pyro Enabler to talk about, and yes, the additional role that I was talking about, which is the fact that Thoma can now fulfill a shielder plus Pyro Swirl setup in one character, while allowing you to have another Pyro main DPS plus either Xingqiu or a character like Diona to help you set up melt, plus your animal for the 4-piece VV. And if you have Kazuha, it's going to be elemental damage bonus, EM bonus, and if you have Freedom Swan, then a lot more bonuses as well. And I'll talk about that later once we go into that session in detail. So first off, let's talk about his Pyro Enabler ability. So Thoma's Fiery Collapse is every second. If he follows the usual 2.5 seconds ICD, he will only proc reaction every 3 seconds. This gives him the potential to be a good enabler because 2 out of every 3 hits he's not doing any proc. The proc will go to your main DPS. And depending on the animation speed, right? If the animation speed is not that fast on the wave, it may even be 3 out of every 3 hits. But obviously we need proper testing in-game to be sure. But I'm very confident that his Pyro application is consistent enough because it procs every second. So in other words, it can definitely ensure 100% overloaded on Raiden plus Thoma each attack. And for Cryo Hydro mains, it should ensure melt/vaporize the moment their ICD is over. And for a character like say Hu Tao, where her charge attack does not really have an ICD per se, since he's able to do vaporize every hit, Thoma being only able to proc a reaction every 3 seconds actually helps Hu Tao. It means that for Hu Tao, right, Thoma may take away vape every 3 seconds, but again, I need to test out to be sure. It does seem like the wave will hit before Hu Tao's charge attack connects though, because if you think about it, right, when Hu Tao is using her charge attack, first you have a normal attack, and the wave will be triggered before you do your charge. So I would think that your charge attack, before your charge attack reaches your target, Thoma's wave will likely hit the target first, which means that every 3 hits, Thoma will be the one doing the vaporize instead of Hu Tao. Which is bad. But if you are using Kazuha with Freedom Swan though, it may still be worth it because losing the vape every 3 seconds to get pretty big boost, ally damage from Kazuha's EM, 4-piece VV effect, okay, EM itself, since we are doing vaporize, charge attack bonus from Freedom Swan, and also attack bonus. I forgot to mention, there's also attack bonus from Freedom Swan. Do you guys see how good Kazuha is? Like, he's crazy good in terms of buffing, man. So, you get such a big boost for the other 2 vapes. Is it worth losing the 3rd vape? I have to test on math out to be sure. And let me know in the comments if you guys are interested in that math, because I have to set up the Hu Tao math. Basically, the hardest part is always setting up the first math video or math analysis for a character. That's the hardest part. Okay, so anyway, let me know in the comments if you guys are interested in this math, whether or not it's worth it. I am pretty interested myself, but we do have a lot of time until Thoma is out. That's why I leave it as a open-ended. I don't want to say question. I leave it open-ended for you guys to let me know, and based on your response, I'll see if we'll take the time to do the math for this. If you have any other questions about Hu Tao in terms of the way she works as well as her math, and if it's worthwhile to do the math, I'm definitely happy to do it. Okay, so this is for Hu Tao. Actually, it should be Hu Tao if you want to say the exact exact pronunciation, Hu Tao. Okay, so additional note for Ganyu. Since his fiery collapse procs based on normal attacks, it doesn't really synergize well with Ganyu. And his collapse does not seem to travel far, based on the what has been shown on the 2.2 live stream. I don't think it travels that far, because Ganyu attacks really far. So it may not be that good, but it does look further. At least it does look further than Xiangling's burst. So if you are used to Xiangling Ganyu Melt build, Thoma potentially offers a range upgrade. But the biggest problem lies in having to do a normal attack every second. If you're not used to a Xiangling Ganyu Melt build and you are trying to do a Xiangling Thoma Melt build, right, you may find that the range is too short. That's what I'm trying to say here. So I personally don't recommend pairing him with Ganyu. But there's a caveat here. If you are making use of the normal attack, throwing in the normal attack between each charge attack to circumvent the ICD in terms of like the duration, it's definitely doable. It's just it's a less intuitive playstyle, but it's definitely doable. Just not the way that gun is designed to be played. Okay, so doable but less intuitive. So that's the reason why I don't recommend. But if you, for some reason, let's say if you're already used to using NA to circumvent ICD on Ganyu's charge attack in the Xiangling Ganyu Melt build right now, then Thoma is definitely offering a range upgrade for you. Okay, I shouldn't say definitely since we don't have the character is not released yet. But based on what we see so far, it does look like a range upgrade. Okay, so this is in terms of his Pyro Enabler ability. Now next, let's talk about the most interesting thing, which is the fact that he can fulfill a Shielder plus Pyro Swirl setup in one character. Okay, if you main Hu Tao, or even Yomiya with Vaporized Comp, you know what I'm talking about here. Xingqiu plus Hu Tao, which is how you set up your usual Vaporize, right? Whether it's Xingqiu plus Hu Tao or Xingqiu plus Yomiya, plus Zhongli for a shield, because your Hu Tao is having low HP in order to get her optimum DPS. Having a shielder really helps in terms of the HP management. And then you have the animal character who is trying to do the 4-piece effect. But you have a challenge here because you don't have a second pyro character here. So you can't make good use of 4-piece VV effect unless you use Hu Tao's burst for the setup, for the swirl. For applying the pyro, then you use your swirl. Doesn't feel great, right? Yeah. Unless you are willing to only use the swirl on the second rotation, which again is not great. So now, with Thoma, you have Thoma providing the shield while setting up the 4-piece VV with his elemental skill and his burst. And if you are using Kazuha, oh right, before I forget, right, because it's not here, it's not stated here, he also gives you Pyro Resonance when you replace Thoma with Zhongli here, okay, in this comp. Now, if you are using Kazuha, his elemental damage plus EM plus charge attack plus attack bonus. Wait, I remember there's 5, right? Ah, okay, 4-piece VV effect. So Kazuha gives you 5 different types of boosts. Kazuha with Freedom Swan. Okay, elemental damage boost, 4-piece VV, EM, charge attack, and attack bonus. Without Freedom Swan, then it's 3. 4-piece VV, elemental damage, and EM. Okay, granted EM is on his C2. Okay, so C0 Kazuha may not have it. EM boost is from his C2 only, 200 EM. Okay, so all of these will boost Hu Tao and Yomiya because they are normal attacks. Okay, the Freedom Zone does not just only boost charge attack, it boosts normal attack, charge attack, and plunging attack. So yeah, it boosts Hu Tao and Yomiya. It's a huge boost to Hu Tao's damage if you think about it, without sacrificing her burst as setup as well. It's 2 different points. One is a huge boost to Hu Tao's damage based on all of this stuff that Kazuha provides, which now you can reliably set up with Thoma. Number 2 is you no longer need to sacrifice her burst as a setup, as a pyro applicator. Obviously, I don't recommend doing that. But if you really want to set it up, then yeah, that's the way. I don't like it personally. So effectively, Thoma can become a very huge boost for Hu Tao and Yomiya. Although Yomiya can't beat every hit, so lesser of a boost for her, but still good. Okay, so when we do get Thoma, right, I'll definitely test out this comp for sure. Very interested in his ability to enable this comp effectively. Just bear in mind, this can apply to any Pyro main as well. Any Pyro main other than Hu Tao or Yomiya. But more specifically because of more specifically Hu Tao and Yomiya because of their kit mechanics. Hu Tao for the low HP management, and Yomiya for the uninterrupted attacks to hit the high multiplier at N3 and M5, which is a 3rd normal attack and 5th normal attack. Because other characters like say Dilute or Klee, you don't really need a shield per se, because they do not have such mechanics per se. Okay. For other pyro mains, but for other pyro mains that are not Hu Tao or Yomiya, you do get to introduce shielder into the comp, even if they don't really need a shielder previously. Now you can have a shielder. And pyro resistance you would have it if you were using other pyro mains. Okay, so this might be his single best role that Thoma can bring to the table, especially for Hu Tao comp. And it makes sense now, right? That he's on the same banner, is introduced in the same banner as our dear Hu Tao, who is universally recognized as one of the best Pyro DPS as well. Yeah, I know Xiangling exists, but guys, come on. The reason why banded Xingqiu Xiangling are so good is because miHoYo is being F2P friendly. They're giving you 4-star characters that are really strong. So stop comparing every single new Pyro character to Xiangling, for crying out loud. Because if you really want miHoYo to introduce a new character that's better than Xiangling, the next thing that will happen is that F2P players will complain that it's pay to win. You get where I'm coming from? But at the same time now, when miHoYo is not giving you characters that are stronger than Xiangling, then people like to make fun of that new character. It's, I don't know, I feel that it's a vicious cycle. But let's not talk more about that. So basically, these are all the support capability of Thoma. I know I'm not going too much detail into the shield itself because I wanted to go into real detail, really drill down the details in the shielder comparison video. So for this support video, you'll see me spending more time talking about Pyro Enabler as well as the shielder plus Pyro Swirl setup. But shield wise, you will see that I have already compared the figures for you guys. So you know this is the kind of figures that you're looking at in terms of the shield. And each second, with each normal attack, this is the type of value that you can get. Okay, this is the shield. If you look at Sub DPS build, the shield is much weaker. Okay, I shouldn't say much weaker, the shield is weaker, but not much weaker per se. Sorry, it should be, yeah. These are the 3 figures we should be comparing against. This is attack sense, so ignore this for now. So these are the shield values, okay? 6.2k, 5.9k, 6.4k. Whereas on the Thoma support, these are the figures, okay? 6.7, 6.8, 7.4. But the max shield is also much higher on the Thoma support build as opposed to the Sub DPS build. So anyway, for the shield wise, once I do the shielder comparison video, you guys will see the specific details for that. I think that will be the video that will bring the most value out of these first 3 math guides. Okay, so next video is definitely the shielder comparison, and I will also do an in-depth comparison against Zhongli as well, because I think I saw people commenting saying that C6 Thoma is comparable to Zhongli. Yeah, think again. Okay. Anyway, I've done the math already. I've done the analysis. I just don't have the time to do the video yet. So look forward to that. I hope you look forward to that shielder comparison video. I'll try to do it. I'll try to release it ASAP. And this is all the points that we have with regards to Thoma support build. So Thoma support build main difference is HP Pyro HP. It's the artifact main stat, as well as all these abilities. Then as opposed to the Thoma Sub DPS, where HP Pyro CR is what I will recommend. But between the 2 builds, if you ask me, I would recommend going for the support build rather than the Sub DPS build. The Sub DPS is just not worth it if you think about the amount of increase in the damage. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Now you realize why I did the shielder comparison as a separate video, right? I mean, this video is almost 30 minutes without me talking about shielder comparison in detail. I have even more points on the shielder comparison video than this. Yeah. So anyway, yes, please look forward to that. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like the content, like the video and click subscribe for more. Bye.